Ida. Hold it. I'll be right there, okay? I'll be right there, okay? I gotta deal with you first, okay? Hi. Hey. What's going on? I know. I got the shirt on. I know. Well, it can't be helped. I had told you that this was coming, and I also have everything taken care of. None of you are going to be alone. You're going to be with your siblings, all of them. Nobody else is leaving. I'm not even going to be gone for very long. I know it stresses you out to see me pack, or to hear me pack. But this is important. The council needs to see me. This is if I don't go, and these rules and ordinances, if I don't weigh in or don't fight them about things, there are going to be repercussions for all kinds of magical creatures. Ordinarily, I wouldn't want to have to deal with any of these rules in the first place. If I were to leave, I would like to be able to leave on my own terms and not doing stuff like this. It is, for Dad to just good to be able to get out sometimes. It's not because I dislike being around any of you. Right. You know I love and care about you. All of you. But I know that it can be hard. And abandonment stuff, or feeling like I'm leaving you specifically, or that there are like personal feelings that are coming up, it makes sense. It might not necessarily be rational or reasonable in the current context of what's happening, and it's not what I'm doing, but it makes sense that that's how you're feeling. It makes sense that you might feel that way, especially given like rocky stuff that's happened before. Yeah, I know it's hard. Come here. There are lots and lots and lots of different layers to like all of these big feelings that you're having, and I want to say it is okay to feel them. It's okay to be upset right now. It's okay to not want this to happen. It doesn't necessarily make it realistic or good or necessarily healthy for me to be able to always be here taking care of all of you all the time. Even if I like it, even if I do care for you all. Sometimes there's going to be times that I have to be away, whether it's for getting specific items. It's hard to get here. Not everybody has dragons. Not everybody's dragons can get up here, That's why sometimes I send for you or some of your siblings to fetch things, if possible. But also, can't be on this mountain all the time. You know that, right? And sometimes I do want to take you all with me, or take you with me specifically to do something, because I know you would be good company, or you would be good to have around. I know that you have a huge assortment of skills that are really, really special to have in general, really helpful to have. But also, your worth is not in how helpful you are to me. Your worth is not tied up in being next to me or near me all the time. I know that it can be hard, and I know the feelings can be big. And sometimes, even if you logically know that it's not reasonable or makes sense, that's how you're feeling anyway, and that's okay. It's okay to feel those things. Right. When was the last time I filed these down? You know there's rocks outside, right? Yeah. Sometimes you don't need to wait for me to do it. I'll get around to it eventually, but sometimes you can end up snagging them on things, or they get more dirty than they need to, or sometimes they end up not being sharp enough if you're not regularly, you don't need it. Yeah. Yeah. You're not just a little puppet anymore. I don't think that growing up is really a linear thing, or a thing that anybody has to do. And growing up or maturing doesn't have to be a goal or something that you need to aspire to. And if you do want to do it, for everybody, that's going to look different, right? But there are things that you are capable of doing and handling on your own. And I know that it can feel easier or safer, or more comforting to feel like you're in a position where you can't do something, or you feel helpless, and that you can just wait for me to do it, or depend on me, or maybe one of the other helpers to handle it for you, right? And that is not always going to be an option. And it also puts you in a position where you're always going to need one of us around to do something for you. And I think you're more powerful than that. I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. I know it can feel safer, or it can feel good too. And I think that you're never going to be in a position where you can't ask for help, or you can't ask for support, or you can't ask specifically for somebody to do something because it feels nice, or you need the social bonding time to do it, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's important to ask for things. It's important to communicate about these things, right? And there's nothing wrong with needing affection or attention. But when the way that you are asking for it or needing it, when you're being passive about it, putting up an air or performance of always needing somebody to do something for you, but not explicitly asking for it. Sometimes asking can be very hard. I know this. Lots of levels. Asking can be really hard. Sometimes maybe with previous keepers, I unfortunately I didn't get to hatch you from when you were an egg, and so you ran into and experienced a lot of different things that even things now that I still don't really know, but I can tell from how guarded you were when you first came to me. That you didn't feel safe around people, and that you expected people to always leave. And it also made you really anxious when people are leaving. It doesn't mean that whenever anybody is leaving, they're leaving forever. I know I'm not. I just want you to know that there are better ways to communicate when you need time, or like whether it's quality time, snuggling time, just want to spend time together, or want scratches, or to get your claws filed, or want to be cleaned specifically just because it's nice to be. I know there are definitely things that you can do on your own too, and it's good to practice doing it when you can, if you feel like it. It doesn't mean that people are going to stop talking about you. You don't have to let yourself get all dirtied up like Epsilon, for example, to need to be cleaned by other people. It doesn't have to be a need to thing. It doesn't have to be so black and white, right? You can ask. If somebody says, I don't have time to right now, I know that rejection can feel bad, but it doesn't mean, but if somebody says, not right now, that doesn't mean never. And I know there's a lot of levels of like why any kind of no or rejection or people leaving can trigger these like big scary feelings, because there was a lot of violence or things that were scary or bad or really big consequences for you or punishment But that's not what's happening for you right now. And even if it feels bad, it's not necessarily fair to treat people like they're going to help you or going to hurt you forever. Just because somebody else did it before. At the same time, I want to recognize that what you're feeling is big, and it makes sense to feel those feelings, and it makes sense for it to hurt and to be confusing or scary, or that you just don't want me to leave. It's okay to feel that way. How you're communicating that feeling, or when you're acting like I'm not allowed to go, I want you to recognize too that can be hard for me. Yeah. I know that you don't mean anything by it. I just want you to be a little more self-aware, I guess, in terms of where that feeling is coming from when you are acting out. I don't need you to feel shame about it. That's not going to help. I want you to ask yourself and be curious about why those things are coming up, what those things are doing. And it's not something that you can solve quickly or today necessarily, but I just want to talk to you about it a little bit. I want you to know it's going to be okay. Everything is fine. I know that sometimes the way that I talk about things is not even necessarily the most comforting, but it's for me, it's not necessarily the most helpful, and it's not really natural for me to just pretend that everything is perfect and never needs improvement, or that you can't grow. Because even if I want to validate, and I want to validate and affirm that it's okay to feel what you're feeling. It's okay for it to be scary and hard. It's okay for me leaving to trigger lots of big, scary feelings for you. It makes sense that those are things that are going to come up for you. But I also know that we can validate those things and also talk about how you're communicating those feelings to me and to other people. I want to recognize too that when you're feeling really anxious, your siblings are feeling it. And it's also not particularly good for you and your body. You want to ground you and also recognize, I want to affirm too that even if you're feeling these big feelings or feeling that big anxiety because I'm leaving, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna leave forever. I'm not leaving for a very long time. I'll be back. And when people do leave, I want you to be able to be in a space at some point where that doesn't disturb your peace. But it's okay to need people who need me to be here. I need me to be there to comfort you. It's okay for this to be hard. You're gonna eat breakfast now?